A Treatise of Satan's Temptations. Part 2. By Richard Gilpin. A Discourse of the Malice, Power, Cruelty and Diligence of Satan. Of Satan's improving these advantages for error, by deluding the understanding directly, which he doth, 1. By countenancing error from Scripture. Of his cunning therein. 2. By specious pretences of mysteries, and what these are. Of personal flatteries, and more. Chapter 3. Part 9. Errors under profession of Christianity have been supported and propagated by the boast of miracles. A clear instance for this we have in Popery, that religion being a perpetual boast of wonders. To let pass their great miracle of transubstantiation, which, as one hath lately demonstrated, is a bundle of miracles, or contradictions rather, because it appears not to the senses of any man, and consequently is not capable of being an argument to prove any of their opinions. We have abundance of strange things related by them, as proofs of some doctrines of theirs in particular, as purgatory, invocation of saints, transubstantiation, etc. And of their profession in the general, devils cast out, blind and lame cured, dead raised, and what not. It would be endless to recite particulars. It would take a long time to tell what their Saint Francis hath done, how he fetched water out of a rock, how he was homaged by fowls and fishes, how he made a fountain in Marcia run wine, and how far he exceeded Christ himself in wonderful feats. Christ did nothing which Saint Francis did not do, nay, he did many more things than Christ did. Christ turned water into wine but once, but Saint Francis did it thrice. Christ was once transfigured, but Saint Francis 20 times. He and his brethren raised above 1,000 to life, cast out more than 1,000 devils, etc. Their Dominicas raised 3 dead men to life. Their Xaverius, while he was alive, did many miracles, and after he was dead his body lay 15 months sweetly smelling, without any taint of corruption. It is irksome to repeat their stories. Abundance of such stuff might be added out of their own writings, the design of all which is to prove, to those that are so prodigal of their faith as to believe them, that they only are the true church, and that by this note among others, they may be known to be so. But let us turn aside a little to observe Satan's cunning in this pretense of miracles. Let things be soberly weighed, and we may see enough of the cheat. This great boast is, as Austin hath it, resolved into one of these two, either the figments of lying men, or the craft of deceitful spirits, vel figmenta hominum mendacium, vel portenta fallacium spirituum. As to the first of these, it is evident that a great many things that have been taken by the vulgar for mighty wonders, were nothing but the knaveries of impostors, who in this matter have used a threefold cunning. 1. First, by mere juggling and forgery and confederacies and private contrivances, they have set upon the stage persons, before instructed to act their parts, or things aforehand prepared, to pretend to be what they were not, that others might seem to do what they did not, and all to amaze those that know not the bottom of the matter. Of this nature was Mohammed's dove, and bull, who were privately trained up, to that obedience and familiarity which they used to him. The pagan priests were not altogether to seek in this piece of art. Lucian tells us of one Alexander, who nourished and tamed a serpent, and made the people of Pontus believe that it was the god Aesculapius, and doubtless the idol priests, improved their private artificial contrivances, as of the movings of their images, as that of Venus made by Daedalus, which by the means of quicksilver enclosed could stir itself, their eating and drinking. As in the story of Bel in the apocryphal adjections, to the book of Daniel. Their responses, and several other appearances. As of the paper head of Adonis or Osiris, which, as Lucian reports, comes swimming down the river every year, from Egypt to Byblus, etc. These and such like they improved as evidences of the power, knowledge, and reality of their gods. And though in the prevalency of idolatry, where there was no considerable party to oppose, their cheats were not always discovered, yet we have no reason to imagine that the priests of those days were so honest, that they were only deceived by the devil's craft, and did not in a villainous design purposely endeavor the delusion of others. If we had no other grounds for a just suspicion in these cases, the famous instances of the abuse of Paulina at the temple of Isis in Rome, in the reign of the Emperor Tiberius, by the procurement of Mondas, who corrupted the priest of Anubis to signify to her the love of their god, and under the coverture gratified the lust of Mondas, mentioned by Josephus. And that of Tyrannus, priest of Saturn in Alexandria, who by the like pretense of the love of Saturn, adulterated most of the fairest dames of the city, mentioned by Rufinus. These would sufficiently witness that the priests of those times were apt enough to abuse the people at the rate we have been speaking of. In Popery nothing hath been more ordinary. Who knows not the story of the Holy Maid of Kent and the boy of Bilson? How common is it with them to play tricks with women troubled with hysterical distempers, and to pretend the casting out of devils, when they have only to deal with a natural disease. Not very many years since they practiced upon a poor young woman at Durham, and made great boasts of their exorcisms, relics, and holy water against the devil, with whom they would have all believed she was possessed, when the event discovered that her fits were only the fits of the mother. I myself, and some others in this place, have seen those fits allayed by the fume of tobacco blown into her mouth, to the shame and apparent detection of that artifice. I might mention the legerdemain of Antonius of Padua, who made his horse adore the host, for the conversion of a heretic. The finding of the images of St. Paul and St. Dominic in a church at Venice, with this inscription for Paul, "By this man you may come to Christ," and this for Dominic, "But by this man you may do it easilier," and the honor put upon Garnet, by his image on straw, found at his execution, in all probability by him that made it and threw it down, or by his confederate. But these are enough to show the honesty of these kind of men. 2. Secondly, they have also a cunning of ascribing effects to wrong causes, and by that means they make those things wonders that are none. Mohammed called as fits of falling sickness ecstasies or trances. Austin tells us the heathens were notable at this. The burning lamp in the temple of Venus, though only the work of art, was interpreted to be a constant miracle of that deity. The image which, in another temple, hung in the air, by ignorant gazers was accounted a wonder, when indeed the lodestone in the roof and pavement, though unseen, was the cause of it. The Sidonians were confirmed in their constant annual lamentations of Adonis, by a mock miracle of the redness of the river Adonis at one time of the year constantly. They take it to be blood, when it is nothing else but the coloring of the water by the dust of red earth or minium, which the winds constantly at that time of the year, from Mount Libanus do drive into the water. Neither are the papists out in this point. I will only instance in that observation of Dr. Jennison, to confirm the doctrine and practice of invocation, they take the advantage of sovereign baths and waters, and where they be any fountain good against the stone, or other diseases. Presently there is the statue or image of some saint, or other, erected by it, by whose virtue the cure and miracle must seem to be done, or some chapel is erected to this, or that saint, to whom prayers before, and thanks after washing must be offered. Thanks.